Welcome to the Lowcountry Revolutionaries, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of Charleston, South Carolina's vibrant entrepreneurial scene. I'm your host, Bill Bellott, founder of Veritas Exoscience, and each week we're spotlighting the boldest innovators from the Chucktown startup community. These are the visionaries pouring their heart and soul into the businesses that are transferring Charleston into a global hub of creativity and American ingenuity. Get ready for raw, real conversations with the trailblazers shaping our city's future. Let's dive in. I would like to welcome Meghan Rowe. Meghan is the founder of White Leaf Provisions, a biodynamic baby and toddler food brand known for its applesauce and puree pouches. The company is distributed nationwide and based here in South Carolina in the Charleston area. Welcome, Meghan. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing fabulous. I am super interested in this. My son's not a toddler anymore, but he was at one point, like them all. And I have felt your struggle. Me and my wife felt your struggle of like trying to find food for them. And I see like you guys went through like this process of trying to figure out, how to get food for your children, and you came up with a business as part of it. So tell me this story. What am I getting right? What am I got wrong here?
You got it pretty much correct. Yeah, I'll just go into a little bit granular detail on it. But so we started the brand about 10 years ago, and we were the family that was importing infant formula for our first son from Europe.
Wow.
And we quickly saw that there was a missing market, and a lot of families in the U.S. were starting to import a lot of formula from Europe and seeking products from Europe. And when you go deep on it, you understand that Europe bans a lot more ingredients and additives than the U.S. does. And we were quite familiar with European standards. My husband's from Ireland, and I spent many years living abroad.
Okay, that's
it was cool.
It
was an easy lift for us at the time. And I had spent many years living in Europe, like I mentioned, and I had reached out to a roommate that was still there. And this was before you could easily import a lot of products from Europe. And he started sending us cases of formula for us, and I thought, well, this is interesting. Why doesn't this exist?
Right.
And so that's kind of how it started. And what we thought would be more of a regional, smaller operation has quickly grown into national distribution.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's like I lived overseas for about a year in Italy, and there is quite a bit of difference in the food from here to there. And I know, not to get in politics, so I'm going to keep it light here. But, the current Secretary of HHS, Secretary Kennedy, seems to be very much in agreement with a lot of the things that you guys are for, which is, no or low GMO, the glyphosates and so on and so forth, all the additives that have kind of crept into farming over the last, probably, I want to say it's got to be 40 years or so now.
It's about 40, 50 years if you look at the graphs.
Mm-hmm. And the question is, it's like, okay, what is the impact of those? And, just like any parent out there, I imagine you're like, hey, if we can get stuff that tastes good, that doesn't have these additives, why wouldn't we, right?
Correct. Yes. And that's kind of what we sought for. We sought for toxin-free food. We sought for quality food. And we knew that there was a market for people that really wanted high quality ingredients and quality pouches that were done really in that convenient way. At the time when we first started to conceptualize the brand, it was hard to find convenient snack options for kids that were done with the utmost highest level of quality and oversight.
Right.
And that's what really led to us to want to provide that to people.
Well, I am all about that. So you don't know this, but I've worked in the standards world for a long time. And so I'm all about quality. I'm all about, certification and doing tests and doing the research around this kind of stuff, doing calibrations. It's called metrology, not meteorology, but metrology, the science of measurement. So I'm all about that stuff. So tell me about what are you guys doing around, because I saw on your website, like you guys work through these certification bodies and all this kind of stuff. What are you doing to make sure that you've got high quality ingredients in your food?
Yeah, so we're hyper vigilant on that one. So we really fell in love with this farming certification called biodynamic, and it is certified by a international group called Demeter, and they started about 100 years ago as an answer to what they were seeing on farms, which was a lot of the chemical companies after post-war were repurposing their chemicals for farm issue,
Right.
pesticides, fertilizers. So it really shifted this kind of industrial complex into farming. And the farmers at the time said, well, I don't want to change anything that I'm doing right now. I'm getting great results. My farms are one whole ecosystem promoting biodiversity. Why do we need to do this? And
Right.
so a group of farmers banded together and formed this certification, which is super rigorous. And it's all about keeping the farm as its own whole ecosystem. And actually, organic as we know it today is an offshoot of the principles of biodynamic farming.
Nice.
Um, and so we really are a huge household proponent of whole foods, um, don't have cut corners on quality. And this farming standard really promoted that. And that's what we leaned into. So back to your question is Demeter is a very rigorous certification. The farm, the processing,
Okay.
all of it has to be evaluated and traced. So we do annual trace audit backs. And then we also do an annual trace audit back with our organic certification. So in a way, we're double certified in that regard to ensure that our supply chain is what we say it is. And then to further that, we do on product testing as well for the ingredients prior to fill as well as after fill. So there's multi points
Wow.
on all of that. Yes.
And that seems amazing. That is awesome. How do you? I mean, I'm going to ask you kind of a crazy business question. So, how do you do all that and stay competitive in the market?
Yes, we are definitely considered more of a premium pouch line, but we are competitive with what's happened. Back to your earlier point, families are really starting to wake up as to what is in our foods that shouldn't be.
Right.
So we're playing in a field with competitors. There's about 3 other competitors above us in the retail data, if you're looking at that, who are doing premium offerings. And so we are actually right there with them. And that's what's driving the growth in the category are these premium brands due to the influx of people being aware of what's in their food that shouldn't be. So they're really foregoing more of the legacy brands and they're spending towards more of the premium brands to ensure that safety is there for their kids.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Do you mainly work? And pardon my ignorance, but do you mainly work with farms and stuff from Europe, or are there farms that are getting certified here in the U.S. also?
Yeah, so White Leaf as a brand, we're really more of a platform to promote regenerative ag throughout the world. Currently, our supply chain primarily is in mainland Europe. We manufacture in Italy,
Okay.
and we import in. And then we have another secondary product line, which is our applesauce line. Those are intended for the 3 to 12-year-old kind of lunchbox items
Nice.
for the kids. And those are actually done down in Chile. So
Oh, wow.
we've partnered with a large Demeter orchard down there to produce that line. So as you can see, we chase the certification to really lock in our supply chain. Is kind of how we're doing that.
That's cool. Now, if there were, and I know this maybe is nothing you're doing right now, but just gonna throw the question out there. If there are farms here in South Carolina or in the U.S. that are interested in getting involved in this, how would they get started?
Yeah, so the best place to start is to kind of drill down and see what kind of regenerative certification you want to take on. I was just introduced to a woman who actually has a biodynamic farm in the upstate, about an hour south of Columbia.
Nice.
I'm really excited to meet her. It's 200 acres, so I want to see what her operation is, but it is growing since we started the process 10 years ago. The U.S. had very small footprint farms of biodynamic farming. But the regenerative farm in general, the movement is really growing here in the US. It's most popular in biodynamic wines are probably the huge kind of commodity here. And then with the regenerative movement overall, you're going to be looking at a lot more cattle, dairy, and grain is the operations that are growing in the US. So we'll stick to Europe for now for our fruits and veg until it gets of scale where we can start kind of working with farms in the area. But to get involved, it's definitely reach out to Demeter, reach out to myself, and we can connect people to kind of more information on that.
Awesome. Yeah, I know there's probably some folks interested, and will maybe more after they listen to this podcast. Like, hey, maybe we can get into something like that.
Sure.
Especially now, I would suspect, I haven't seen it yet, but I suspect there's going to be a push from USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, around this area with the things coming out of HHS and stuff about less toxins in food and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that you'll have a greater supply chain here sooner instead of later, right?
I would definitely agree with that. And I know the USDA announced recently, I think it was either 600 million towards a regenerative pilot program that happened last year in 25. And so I know that they're starting to kind of understand that regenerative farming is the way forward. And just for your listeners, regenerative farming, if you really think about it, you have conventional farm, which we all kind of understand, industrial agriculture. And then you have your organic farms, which really show what's not being sprayed on your crops. And it's more of a sustainable option, whereas regenerative really focuses on whole farm kind of health, as well as soil health, and understanding that we need healthy soils, live soils, to really support nutrient dense foods, whereas conventional and some organic farming methods really kind of deplete the soils of the nutrients. And so that's what's exciting about this movement is we're starting to understand the correlation between soil health, nutrient density, and gut microbiome.
Right. Exactly. And as a biologist, I'm totally in line with you about the gut microbiome. It is such a key to human health, and we find out more about it and more surprises about it almost every day. It is an amazing kind of area of research and discovery. So so it's important about the foods you put in your body. It's like, I remember, I'm a kid from the, I'll show my age a little bit, from the 70s. And I remember back then people saying these words. Of course, they didn't mean as much to me then. It's like, you are what you eat. And
that's true.
And it's more and more true every year that I've been alive. So that is amazing. So how are you guys doing about? I know you're spreading the word about your brand, and you're out there everywhere. You're in Harris Teeter and Whole Foods and other national grocers. What are you doing around education around this?
Yeah, it's been a challenge because, as you can only imagine, we've been much more of a smaller growth brand in terms of how we scaled it. But it has been really a word of mouth effort. So most of our growth has come organically through our online shoppers tell a mom who tells a mom, and we have an affiliate program, and we've worked with online personas and influencers since we launched, really to just get the word across, and doing interviews like this. But really, we've been very fortunate. A lot of our retail growth has honestly come from the retail buyers being very familiar with the uptick of regenerative ag and wanting to seek products that offer families exactly what we're offering. They want to think outside the box and put some more premium options on shelf. And so we've been really fortunate. A lot of our growth has come from inbound requests from the retail partners.
Nice. And do you guys collect feedback from customers around the nation? What are you hearing from the customers? Is there a particular product that's their favorite out there?
Yes, our favorite is the number one seller we have actually is a pear banana kiwi puree pouch. And what's really cool about the way in which we source from the farms we work with is, for some reason, you can taste each individual ingredient really clearly, even though they're blended. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about between soil health, nutrient density, and healthy soils really grow nutrient dense food, and you can taste the difference. Second to that would be in our applesauce line. We have a apple and pear sauce. That one's really a popular flavor as well for our consumers. Again, you can taste the apple and you can taste the pear. So those are really some basics, and that's what's worked for us is the basics. We don't have more than 5 ingredients in any of our blends. Because we're considered more of a snack add-on to families' pantries versus just a meal replacement. So it's been a nice journey to offer them unique flavor profiles.
Nice. And I assume you guys have like the little label on the back of the packet and it breaks it down by, the different nutrients and all that. Is that kind of like a standard thing that's on everybody's stuff?
Yeah, so you have the standard FDA required nutrient facts panel, but what we're learning in the industry we're in is that's quickly getting a little bit outdated, and we're really excited to partner with a group called Audacious Labs. They're taking nutrient testing a step further, and they're breaking it down for consumers. So we do have a QR code that customers can click, and that will lead them to a web page which will allow them to see further information on what's in this product, what's the nutrient density components, which are away from your standard kind of nutrient facts panel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've just like everybody else, I've looked at the back and, even having some science background, it's kind of like, okay, this tells me a little bit, but it really doesn't give you a whole heck of a lot of information. The most you're getting from it's like, okay, does it have more protein than carbohydrates? Does it have, how much added sugar does it have in it? And sometimes that's a bit confusing because, they mix up, they try to do a better job these days, but in the past they've really mixed up like what's the natural sugars versus added sugars. So
correct. Yeah.
And
there's a lot of misinformation that can come from it if you're not fully understanding that what kind of the science behind it all is.
Right, exactly. And so here's the other thing that comes up all the time is preservatives. What do you guys do about that?
We don't put any artificial or natural flavors in our products. We don't put preservatives in. What we're using is organic lemon juice concentrate.
Okay.
In certain blends. A lot of the pH levels that we have to adhere to based on the FDA guidance and rulings is to keep certain blends at a certain pH level to prevent any bacteria or anything within it. And so, some SKUs don't have any preservatives at all. And then some SKUs based on their pH level do have organic lemon juice concentrate.
Wow, that's really cool. I did not know that. That sort of makes a good bit of sense. And, using lemon juice or vinegar, whichever way you need to go, that's a pretty natural way to get there.
It is. Yeah, we try to really go back to what I was saying. We really try to provide families with such a quality-driven product in a very convenient form factor.
Nice. And so since it's in pouches, I'm sure somebody has asked you this question, so this should not be the gotcha question here. How do you guys deal with, and this came up, it's been about 5 or so years, maybe a little longer, maybe 10 years. How do you guys deal with the BPA that's sometimes been used to line cans and other types of products?
Yeah, so we source BPA-free, BPF-free materials for the pouches. Cool. And we do work with the manufacturer to ensure that is the case. And we're really excited we're migrating, it should be on shelf now actually, is typical pouches are 7-layer. And they're really a behemoth of a problematic cause. But what we're excited about is we've launched into a single virgin plastic with a paper outer. So we've limited now from a 7 to a 2-layer configuration. So we're always trying to push the envelope towards better options for packaging, and this one's really exciting for us.
That is really cool. Less layers makes it easier for everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I know you built this around, food for children, but do adults also eat these pouches or buy these pouches for themselves?
Yeah, so it's been really fun to see the evolution of the brand. So very early on, the packages used to say baby food, and then on the side it would say 6 months to hungry adult. And then over the years, we started getting a ton of feedback from the consumer that the older child was still enjoying the blends, and they had embarrassment because it said baby food, and have we ever thought, and da da da. And then we learned about athletes enjoying them instead of having those goos that they would use like cycling or marathon runners.
Right.
And so we made a conscious decision to take baby food off pouch. And so now it does say just puree. we've left the 6 months to hungry adults, and it's been a fun journey to see the evolution of consumers, adults and babies, consuming them. So.
That sounds awesome. Well, if you ever decide to put any caffeine in any of your pouches, let me know. Just send me a text on the side, because I might be your next consumer out there.
Perfect. Maybe I'll do an espresso one.
Yeah, there you go. Espresso or sports drink type one.
Yes.
That's awesome. So what else are you guys doing? Is I know you're based here in the Charleston area. What's kind of the vision going forward? Are you going to build out here in this area, or what's happening?
Yeah, so we call Mount Pleasant home, and our office headquarters is here. Even pre-COVID, our entire operation has been remote. So I do have visions that I do want to expand the headquarters here and start having more locals involved. We do have a woman, Christy, who you spoke to. She's here locally, which has been really fun. And from a brand perspective, we're really just kind of building that platform company that can grow with the family from baby to adult. So hence the name is kind of a vague name. It's in terms of what we can offer, and we want regenerative at the core of every product that we launch. And we hold the trademark for the term regenerate your pantry for that reason, where we really do see the benefit of regenerative ag kind of flowing through pantry items. And so we do have our sights set on some more product lines that we'll develop in the future.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to hear about these in the future. You can come back on when you have some new products to put out there. I'll be looking for. We mainly use the Lowe's grocery store, but we go to Publix and a couple of things, so I'll be on the lookout for these, because I definitely want to try some of these now.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So as you mentioned in the beginning, we're in every Whole Foods locally. Harris Teeter, Earth Fare is another great partner local. Yeah. And if everyone wants more smaller shops, we're in local Joe's, which is here in Mount Pleasant. It's a great health food store as well. So.
That's awesome. So you've been doing this for a few years, Meghan, and you're obviously fairly successful. You got a national brand. I'm sure a lot of people out there, they're just getting started out. I have a friend of mine who started out doing Joe, who's doing pasta in jars and expanding into other things. I bet you he would like to hear, and probably a lot of others like to hear. So what advice do you have for people who are pursuing this kind of line of business, and what have you learned?
Yes, it is a very arduous, long journey. So patience is the number one, and then you need your passion and you need persistence. Because the second you want to start to give up, that's when the corner turns and something good is going to happen. So I always say those are my 3 P's to starting out entrepreneurs: is the patience, passion, and persistence. Nice. And to really listen to your instincts. This journey has been very wonderful to watch and evolve, and always check back in the past to see how it's evolved. And it really has come down to every great thing that has happened because we've listened to our instincts, and everything that was kind of like a cog in the wheel was due to us listening to somebody else giving that advice. So really hold your cards close until you're ready, because people really do like to make comments, and listen to your instincts.
Yeah, that is great advice. I had a similar recent experience. I'll tell you later on of what that was, but yes, listen to your instincts makes a lot of sense to me right now. And I think a lot of people around the Lowcountry area will kind of, that'll resonate with them. So I appreciate that. That's great advice. So Meghan, I really appreciate this. This has been a great conversation. I'm excited to see your brand in the store. I'm going to check it out, and I want to hear when you guys develop some more products. Come back on, tell us about it. We'd love to hear about that.
Most definitely. This is great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Lowcountry Revolutionaries. Thanks for joining us as we celebrate the fearless entrepreneurs making wave in Charleston's Chucktown Startups community. I'm Bill Bellot, and it's been an honor to share these inspiring stories with you. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a spark of low country innovation. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.